The Mystery Behind the Story and My Story, Part 3.75, The Elementary School, a Kingville Project presentation by Stanley Avengers Incorporated. I used to live right across the street from the old elementary school at 505 Colston Street with my stepdad and my brothers, Tom and Trey. Back then, I didn't realize I was living across from history. This episode connects the receipts, the deeds, articles, and blueprints directly to NRB 15, the National Register's integrity standards. This isn't just about buildings. It's about accuracy, faith, and educating those who were never taught the full story. And here at Kingville, the truth still stands. Dr. Ogden Dormus King Sr. helped lay its foundation, not just in name, but in spirit.
King donated this land, and they called it King's Field.
King's Field, not Kingsville.
Not Kingville. But later
why did they say field?
Because that's all it was. Then people started building their houses, and that made it like a village. And they called it Kingville, Villageville, from my understanding.
Right, and it was after the guy named Dr. King, right? He was a white doctor, right?
He was.
Ogden King.
And he donated that land. And then later on, after the old schoolhouse, they built a school called Kingville High School. And when I left here and went up north and come back, there was no more Kingville, there was South Albemarle.
Before there was a schoolhouse, there was faith. In 1901, Dr. Ogden Dormus King sold land to newly freed black families, helping them build homes and hope. That same year, the Stanley Enterprise reported that the Kingville and Freeman's Chapel schools had been consolidated. Classes moved into the chapel. Faith became the first classroom. By 1904, faith became infrastructure. Thos H. Brooks served as trustee for the Albemarle Normal and Industrial School at Mount Zion, the first step from the pulpit to the blackboard. In 1907, the trustees of the Stanley County Colored Normal and Collegiate Institute, Richard Wall Jr., Joe Wall Jr., Thos H. Brooks, Sandy Burns, and Sandy Tyson, purchased 2 acres at Lundix and Colston for black education. That soil became the foundation for the Kingville Elementary School, the teacherage, and the industrial building that still stand today. That's not just history, that's integrity through association.
Fact of the matter is, there was a school there.
Yeah, there was a school there. Now, there was a school, yes.
Right. So, what do you know about that school?
Now, listen. All I ever know about that, all I have ever known about that school, should I say, or know about it now, is that it was a building there, and I think it was, I guess it went to the high school, but there was another building down there, but it was an elementary school building that's down on the next street. I'm trying to think of the name of the street.
Colston Street?
Colston Street, yes. That was a school right there on Colston Street, right on the corner of Colston and you said that's Bendix?
Lundix.
Lundix. Okay. All right, on the corner of Colston and Lundix. That was a house right there. That was a schoolhouse. That was a school building right there.
By 1921, the Stanley County Board of Education formally approved the enlargement of the Kingville Colored School. That confirms the school was already standing and that the county's investment expanded what the black community had originally built. As documented in the 2024 State Historic Preservation Office Memorandum, this wording is a direct, clean transcription from the handwritten entry on page 31 of the archived Stanley County School Board minutes. This map outlines the Kingville Colored School campus after the 1921 enlargement, the elementary school, the teacherage, and the agricultural building, all within 2 acres of purpose. The footprint stayed the same, the mission expanded. Each building had its lane, the elementary for academics, the shop for trades, the teacherage for housing.
Highlighting the article from 1922, when Professor R.S. Graves was the principal, it was mentioned that the old schoolhouse on Lundix Street, formerly known as the Kingville Colored School, was renamed the Stanley County Training School. Notice the importance of home economics and agriculture in black education, although the sum of $500 will be available annually so long as high school subjects are taught. It's also significant to note in the directory of the North Carolina school officials that are following that the training school was not classified as a high school until Horace C. Gore took charge as principal of the new Kingville High School built on Wall Street in 1937.
In 1925, the Stanley News Herald confirmed what the community already knew. Kingville was the first school in the county to receive Rosenwald aid. $1,200 for the school building, $900 for the teacher's cottage, $700 for the industrial building. Kingville's Rosenwald-era campus had matured: a 5-room schoolhouse, a 4-room teacherage, and a 2-room industrial shop. And the proof runs from the paper to the receipts to the ground we still stand on today. 5 rooms, 4 rooms, 2 rooms. That was the newly named Stanley County Training School campus. The receipts tell the timeline, 1920 to 1925. Even the U.S. Department of the Interior listed Kingville among the earliest Rosenwald sites in North Carolina. It was filed as a 3-teacher type plan in the 1920 to 21 budget year and later expanded with a 4th-room addition in 1921 to 22. Matching exactly what the receipts confirm, right down to the parenthetical note. House at this school. That phrase, house at this school, is key. It shows that the teacherage was planned as part of the same campus budget as the main school. The 1920 to 21 receipt lists a total of $3,600 and an additional $650 spent the next year for expansion, proof of the 4th-room addition. The following year's teachers received mirrors that same budget, $3,627, with Black contributors giving twice as much as before and no additional monetary help from whites. That growth wasn't just structural. It was community-driven, built by sacrifice and faith. Even Professor R.S. Graves' radio receipt was itemized, every dollar recorded. That level of detail shows how carefully Kingville tracked its growth, even after the original Rosenwald funding cycle ended. Museum mislabeling equal-wide accuracy matters. Between the last diploma from the Stanley County Training School and the 1936 report showing Horace Gore as principal of both the training school and the new Kingville High, and the 1967 Kingville High diploma, only research, not assumptions, can fill in that gap. Those signatures link 2 campuses and 3 decades of continuity, proof that history connects through evidence, not assumption. In 2015, the Stanley County Museum mislabeled a photo of the E.E. Waddell Center, calling it the original Kingville Rosenwald School. It wasn't. The true Rosenwald-era campus stood at Lundix and Colston Streets, not Wall Street. Even after the state corrected the record in 2024, the museum site still shows the same mistake. And even Fisk University's own archive lists it as Kingsville instead of Kingville. When captions drift, history drifts with them, and small errors become big gaps in memory. From a missing S to a mislabeled shop or teacherage, even calling Kingville High Kingville Elementary, details matter. For years, small errors at Fisk and the Stanley County Museum grew into big gaps in memory. Credit to the Stanley County Historical Society for partnering with Stanley Avengers to set the record straight through the Kingville Historic Marker campaign, and to the state for updating its archives to properly recognize the Stanley County Training School campus. Accuracy honors legacy, and every correction brings us closer to truth. What WSTHE pattern OF lost? By the 1930s, demolition of older schools was a common practice. National Register of Historic Places, Central Graded School Nomination Albemarle, NC. But what the community built with faith and sacrifice, the county system later dismantled in the name of progress. Was demolition the rule or the exception? And does progress have a pattern? They called it modernization. Today some call it development. 4 of 6 Black schools were erased. On paper, they're gone. In reality, only one Stanley County Rosenwald relic is recognized today. Others still stand, hidden in plain sight. Kingville's teacherage and industrial building endured through faith, function, and purpose that never quit. Even Kingville wasn't untouched, but the teacherage and industrial building endured, reused, repurposed, and preserved through function and faith. That's how Kingville kept standing when others didn't. What happens when resilience meets policy? In 1949, the city approved major additions: a cafeteria, auditorium, and classrooms, signs of growth and change. But months later, fire struck. What happens when resilience meets policy? That same year, North Carolina changed its school insurance laws, and Kingville became one of the first to rise from the ashes with state-backed support. What happens after the fire? Rebuild or relocation? When North Carolina reformed its school insurance laws in 1949, Kingville's resilience finally paid off. After the fire, the vocational shop was quickly rebuilt. The 1950 minutes confirm it. Salvaged Rosenwald lumber tied old craftsmanship to new construction. Soon after, a board resolution shifted Kingville's funding to Albemarle City Schools, placing the rebuilt shop under city oversight on the Brick High School campus. When the new brick shop opened beside Kingville High, trades training officially migrated to Wall Street. But the original Lundix campus never closed its doors. It kept housing educators, serving families, and preserving its purpose. That's preservation through function, continuity, not loss. Here's where scale exposes the truth. The state mistook this small two-room building for the Kingville teacherage, but the receipts and the architecture say otherwise. The shop card shows no cost, no funding, no date, breaking from the verified Rosenwald records. Even the stamp gives it away. The 38 is written over a 40, proving it was logged later, not with the 1920 to 21 batch. Scale confirms the rest. This isn't a teacher's home at all, but a two-room shop, half the size of the real four-room teacherage. Across Stanley County, Norwood's teacherage and school follow the exact Rosenwald scale as Kingville's four-room teacherage, multi-room schoolhouse. That's how we know the two-room building in the Fisk photo could never have been a teacher's home. Over a century later, the footprint still speaks. The teacherage and industrial building stand side by side on the original Lundix Street campus. Same coordinates named in the 1922 Plat Book 1, page 147. Same roles, housing and vocational support, still serving education and community life. The map hasn't moved, and neither has the mission. Integrity isn't just lines and lumber, it's lived atmosphere. From 1920s classrooms to today's community workshops, Kingville keeps teaching through space, spirit, and service. By 1921, the board had approved what the receipts confirmed, a campus enlargement that included a school, a teacherage, and soon after, a shop. Each served a role: academics, housing, and trades. And every dollar was documented, from the Rosenwald contributions to the local match that made it possible. Enlargement wasn't one wall, it was a system. The teachers kept educators on site. The shop, funded in the next cycle, kept vocational learning on campus. Together, they made Kingville a self-sustaining educational hub. Even the March 1921 board minutes, cited in the SHPO memorandum, record a discussion to enlarge the Kingville Colored School. Here's that date and document, showing how early the investment began. The paperwork, the photos, and the footprints all line up, proving that what began as a 1921 enlargement still functions as a living campus. Scale and structure reveal the truth. The smaller two-room building wasn't a teacher's home, it was the shop. The four-room teacherage, still standing, proves the Rosenwald design in real life from 1921 through 2024. These buildings have continued the same core role, a four-family dwelling and a vocational training space, supporting education and community life. That level of functional continuity is rare among Rosenwald-era sites, and it's the very definition of integrity. So let's pause for a second. We've seen the receipts, the blueprints, and the buildings, but what exactly is integrity when we talk about preservation? It's not about perfection. It's about whether a place still tells the truth about what it was built to do. What does it mean in a preservation sense? The National Register of Historic Places uses 7 aspects to judge integrity. They ask, does the site still show its original location, design, setting, materials, and workmanship? Then they look deeper at its feeling and association. Does it still carry the spirit of the people and purpose that made it matter in the first place? When we apply these 7 aspects to Kingville, the picture becomes clear. The integrity isn't lost, it's lived. Documents align with memory. 5-room schoolhouse, 4-room teacherage, 2-room shop within 2 acres. That triangulation, paper, place, people, is what integrity looks like.
Would take me to this building up on Lundix, and it was a big room, and most of the classes would go like from first kindergarten, first, second, third, and there wasn't a high school. I remember that. There was never a high school there.
Why not?
Because it was just a house. It was like a school house, not a school building, but a house.
Okay.
It was just a little, place they called school.
So did a lot of people just drop out after 8th or 9th grade? Is that why they didn't go to high school?
They didn't have a high school.
What do you mean?
That's as far as they went.
So there wasn't a high school to go to?
No.
Because I hear stories about, my grandma saying she just went as far as 8th grade and my grandfather went as far as 9th grade, but I'm thinking they dropped out.
No, it wasn't no high school.
There wasn't
That's
a high
why they
school for the.
built Kingville High School to make it go all the way to the 12th grade. So that's when I came to go to school. I began to go to school. When my sisters went all the way to the school, how far ever they went up from first to the 8th or 9th grade, then they finished in the brick building.
So it's not that they dropped out.
Mm-mm.
They didn't have nowhere to drop into.
We all had to finish high school. My dad wouldn't hear it.
But your dad didn't have an opportunity because there wasn't a high school for him to go to?
Mm-mm.
Got you. Okay. Now that makes sense. It's not that they dropped out. They didn't have a high school to go to.
No high school.
And Kingville High was the first high school for blacks in Albemarle, correct?
That's it.
Okay. Gotcha. Now that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's why they call it Kingville High.
They
could have said Kingville School.
You're right.
But they said Kingville High.
Now we move from evidence to the definition that's supposed to measure it. NRB 15 asks whether a site still conveys its historic identity. Identity here is function, to house and to train. That never changed. From Freeman's Chapel to the training school to the E. Waddle Community Center, the purpose never paused. From faith to education to preservation and back to faith again. Kingville's mission has carried through 3 centuries. When funding faded, the community filled the gap. That's integrity through function, purpose that never stopped serving. The Negro Rural School and its relationship to the community made it clear teachers were more than houses. They were the heartbeat of Booker T. Washington's vision. This building was never a school. It was built and used as a dwelling, and it still dwells. That's integrity of function. Some claim there's been too much loss of appearance, but no verified photo even exists to prove it. The form, the footprint, and the purpose remain. Because if you don't prioritize what it is, its purpose, you can't truly judge what it was. Once you understand its function, you understand its integrity, not the opposite. Beside that chapel stands the old parsonage, next to where Kingville's first classroom once filled the basement of Freeman's Chapel. Those same pastors who preached on Sunday taught reading, math, and discipline through the week. The lessons were simple: faith, unity, and education. Some ask what it means to save a teacher's home without the school, but in Kingville, the church and the school were never separate. One raised the spirit, the other raised the mind. Both still stand by their originals, stewards of service, not orphan shells. Different walls, same purpose, to serve. If you don't prioritize what it is, its purpose, you can't judge what it was. The record is consistent, from receipts to rooms to rolls. From 1921 through 2024, this site has fulfilled the same core purpose, a 4-family dwelling supporting education and community life. That level of continuity is rare among Rosenwald-era sites, and it strengthens, not weakens, integrity under NRB 15.
I began this journey when I was in middle school, living right across the street from what I thought was just an old house, never realizing I was looking at my own family's history. These are my grandparents, Otis and Major Freeman Brooks, married 63 years, worshiping in 2 different churches, Union Chapel and Mount Zion. It wasn't until this research that I understood why. 5 generations of Freeman and Brooks, from Charlie Freeman, who helped build Freeman's Chapel, to Thos H. Brooks, who helped start the school at Mount Zion, carried the same mission: faith and truth and education. My mother began this research, and I promised her it wouldn't die. 5 generations later, it's still alive, and it's still teaching. That legacy continues through their great-great-granddaughter, Michaela Brooks, whose ongoing master's thesis collaboration, expected to be completed by May 2026, carries their work forward.
The elementary story proves the pattern. Next, Kingville High, the brick building, the expansion, and the community that carried it coming next. Part 4, Kingville High and the Kingville Community, 1937 to 1967.
After Gore, E. Waddell was principal of Kingville High School until 1963, and B.K. Williams was principal until its closing in 1968.